All right, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are going to try and get to the bottom of this whole zero waste lifestyle thing.
Okay.
The questions you all sent in
Yeah.
made it pretty clear that you're really interested in getting up to speed on this fast.
Yeah.
So we'll be looking at what it is, why it's getting so much attention, and what it might look like in the future.
Right.
And we're going to dig through all of your questions and materials here and pull out the most important takeaways
Exactly.
so you can walk away with a clear picture of what this whole movement's all about.
Yeah. This is way more than just, putting your can in the right bin. It's like really changing how we think about all the stuff we buy and then throw away.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's break it down and see what it really means for you in your everyday life.
Okay, yeah. So to start, when we say zero waste, what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
It's got to be more than just like being really good at recycling, right?
Right. Exactly. Zero waste is about minimizing the trash we send to the landfill. And you've probably seen that it's getting a lot more attention lately, which makes sense because people are a lot more aware of the environment these days.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so like what are the big ideas behind this?
Mhm.
Is it just like super hardcore sorting your garbage?
No, not even close. The main things are, well, first you got to reduce how much stuff you buy in the first place,
Okay.
right? Then you try to reuse stuff you already have, and recycling is like the last resort. And then composting is a big part of it too, like all your food scraps. It's like way more than just regular recycling. It's like you're trying to get rid of almost all your trash,
Wow,
you know?
that sounds pretty ambitious.
It is. It is a pretty big goal.
Yeah, looking at some of the stuff that you sent, it seems like it could be really hard to pull off for most people.
It is a pretty lofty goal, I'll give you that. And to be honest, it is a challenge for everybody. Finding alternatives to all the stuff we use and, the single-use stuff is just so easy.
Oh, yeah.
It's really convenient.
It's really convenient.
You know?
Okay, so what makes people even want to try this?
Okay.
What did you find in your reading that kind of stood out as like the main motivators?
Well, the environment is a huge one. People are worried about pollution and, using up all the resources and landfills being full, things like that. Some people, they also like that they might save some money by buying less stuff and repairing things instead of throwing them away.
Oh, yeah.
But ultimately, it's all about changing your mindset and thinking more carefully about everything you're buying and using,
Right.
Instead of just buying whatever.
Yeah. I could see how that shift would kind of happen naturally.
Yeah.
So someone who hears zero waste, they might think it's like this really hardcore way to live that costs a ton of money.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's kind of the image people have.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's what a lot of people think at first.
Yeah.
You might have to spend a little more at the beginning on things you can reuse,
Yeah.
but it usually ends up saving you money in the long run. And, you don't have to go all in right away. Even just changing a few little things can actually make a big difference.
Okay, cool. So if you're just starting out, or even if you're, already kind of into this and you're reading about it,
Yeah.
what are some easy things you can do?
Yeah.
Where should you focus on first?
The easiest things are to say no to single-use stuff whenever you can, like straws and plastic bags.
Right, yeah.
And just make it a habit to bring your own bags when you go shopping.
Yeah.
A lot of waste comes from the kitchen,
Yeah.
so try composting or just plan your meals so you don't end up throwing out a bunch of food.
All right. Composting can seem kind of overwhelming to some people. Are there any other kitchen things that you read about that might be a little easier?
For sure. Using reusable containers instead of plastic wrap.
No, yeah.
And, just think about how you can give things a second life before you chuck them. Like an old towel can be cut up into cleaning rags,
Oh, that's a good idea.
like one of your questions mentioned. And, when it comes to clothes, buy stuff secondhand or invest in good quality stuff that will last a long time,
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Get out of that fast fashion cycle.
Exactly.
It's so hard to escape all the single-use plastics, though. They're everywhere. What are some good alternatives you came across?
Well, the obvious ones are reusable water bottles and coffee cups
Like,
and bringing your own shopping bags. But there's also things like beeswax wraps instead of plastic wrap. And try to find stores that sell stuff without packaging, where you can just bring your own containers,
oh, yeah,
you know?
that makes sense. So it all sounds good in theory, but what are some of the real-world roadblocks that people run into when they try to do this?
Honestly, just how convenient disposable stuff is.
Yeah.
It's really ingrained in our culture.
It is.
And a lot of the systems we have aren't really set up to make zero waste easy. Traveling can also be a challenge.
Oh, yeah,
Trying to avoid single-use stuff when you're on the go
for sure.
takes some plan.
What about companies? What's their role in all of this? I mean, it seems like there's only so much individuals can do.
Oh, they play a huge role.
Yeah.
We need companies to offer packaging that's better for the environment and to set up systems that make it easier to reuse things.
Right?
And as consumers, we can make a difference by choosing to buy from companies that are doing the right thing.
Yeah, voting with your dollar.
Right.
So what happens if you don't have many options, like if you live in a more rural area or when you're eating at a restaurant?
Yeah.
I'm sure your research touched on that a bit.
It did. Yeah, in those cases, you just got to be flexible.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't do zero waste perfectly. Just focus on reducing your waste as much as you can within the situation.
Okay.
Like if you're at a restaurant, you can bring your own container for leftovers, little things like that.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Seems like having a community or some kind of support system would be helpful.
Absolutely.
Did you find anything about that in your reading?
Yeah, for sure. It's great to have support from other people and share what you're learning.
Right.
Education is super important, too, to raise awareness.
Yeah.
And if you can teach kids about this stuff early on, it'll become a habit for them. There are so many amazing people and groups online sharing their experiences with zero waste.
Cool. Yeah. Zooming out a little bit here, what's the big picture impact on the environment if more people started living this way? I'm sure your materials had some info on that.
Yeah, there could be a huge impact. Less pollution from landfills, saving resources by not needing as much new stuff, and even helping with climate change because landfills release a lot of methane.
Wow.
It all ties into this idea of a circular economy
Yeah.
where stuff gets used over and over again instead of just ending up as trash. One of your articles mentioned that.
Yeah. Okay. So is the zero waste thing the same everywhere? Or does it kind of look different depending on where you are and what your culture is like?
It's definitely different in different places. I mean,
Oh.
some cultures have always been good at not wasting stuff, and there are new technologies and systems popping up all over the place,
Oh, cool.
like better recycling methods and closed-loop systems,
Yeah.
things that could help us get to a zero-waste future.
So based on all the research you've done,
Yeah.
where do you think this is all headed? Will everyone be doing it someday, or will it stay kind of niche?
That's a tough one. I mean, it could definitely become more mainstream as more people worry about the environment and start demanding change.
Yeah.
But it might also stay as more of a conscious choice for people who really care about the environment.
Okay. To wrap things up, what was the most important thing you learned from diving into all this material?
Well, even though there are some challenges, I think the zero waste lifestyle is a big step towards being more mindful of what we buy and taking responsibility for how we impact the planet.
Yeah.
It's about wanting a healthier world for everyone.
Yeah. That's a really good point. So for everyone listening, think about one thing you use all the time and throw away without even thinking about it. What's one small change you could make today to get a little bit closer to a zero waste mindset? Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.